Right, good Sunday early evening to you. It's Sunday, August 25th, I believe. Anyways, I wanted to just kind of do a follow-up to this question and answer. I appreciate all the support and kind words from everybody. It does offer kind of a forum without interruption, and I look forward to getting to today's questions and getting through to those of you that want to hear what's going on and are really interested in our club and facilities and all of that. So without any further ado, I guess I'll answer some questions. First question is, why are people lying about the golf course? Well, it depends on who you think's lying, and then if you've been on the golf course. Because if you've been on the golf course and you actually have seen the golf course from now, and I think what I'm going to do is I'll actually post some before pictures that I was taking in months past to kind of give you an idea of how much progress has been made. And outside of the testimonials that many of you have heard, we've posted all the golfers that I know in this association and those that have gone there. I haven't met a single human being who hasn't noticed a huge difference in the last month, 2 months to 3 months. So progressively getting better. Golf course just takes a couple days to look really brown again without watering, and in spite of the wires that apparently were cut on controller 3 and some of the other irrigation issues that we continue to fight, we're doing good, and I'm really proud of the guys that are out there that we have with us. We've got some real talent this time, and I think that's being shown out on that golf course, so I'm happy about that. So that being said, I don't know why people who would live in this neighborhood would post videos purposely depicting areas of the golf course that either never been in play or aren't up to the standard that I would like. And there's very few areas that were, at least in the video that I saw, that actually addressed the golf course itself. So if the video that I saw is true, and that one of the realtors in our own association put that video out and is also trying to sell a home whose back is to the golf course and whose pictures of that home, when you click on the property of the golf course, it's a little worrisome. There'll be an answer for that. It doesn't have to be to me, but apparently that person has quite a few opinions on a lot of different matters. As I try to block out the sun. Sorry about that. Why would somebody want to tear down their own neighborhood? And does the homeowner know that the realtor is doing this? Now, in full disclosure, I'm not 100% certain, but given the comments that I've been screenshot and shown, and the video that I've seen myself, and the people who've reposted it, it is concerning. Nobody in this neighborhood should be wanting the HOA to be presented in a false light, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, the person that put that video together, if they have any integrity, they put it together on the 6th of August, which would be over 2 weeks ago. And I am questioning whether or not that was even done on the 6th. And I can guarantee you some of those pictures were not. And that being said, though, it's this mentality that a few disgruntled people have, that they're willing to bring down the values of their clients and their neighbors for the purpose of their own self-serving motives. It's a sickness. It really is. It's bad. And that's all I'm going to say on that. It's long enough. All right. So then the next question is, what happened to the prior GM? So the prior GM that was here, many of you've known his grandfather lives here. I can't tell you how awesome it was to have him here, and what it meant for me to have somebody like Brian here. He's just an incredible guy, somebody that I truly cared about, and demonstrated that. I think could give him all the accolades that I possibly could, especially early on. You know, with the bonus, we gave him, you know, paternity leave that truthfully we did as an HOA out of the kindness of our hearts, and mine especially. And without any notice, he took 6 weeks of paternity leave. Now, apparently, and again, this is from what we were told by reliable sources, that 2 directors were in communications with him and advised him to take the 6 weeks paternity leave while they tried to really put together a coup d'etat of myself and the board. And specifically, after the 6 weeks, again, I had no notice at all, and very unusual for him to have done that. It's hard to believe, because, you know, one of the things I said is, you know, when I was in Eastern Europe, where my wife is from, and we had to go back for some, it's my first time back since some very personal, my father-in-law had passed away, and that was during the time where GPL and David Smith decided they were going to break into our maintenance shed, take all the machines, equipment, and everything, which we have video and pictures of. You know, Brian was there and handled himself in a way that I can't describe how proud I was and how much it meant, and what an awesome guy I thought he was, and I know he can be, and it was great. I mean, I remember throughout all the emotional stuff that was going on the other side of the planet here, it was refreshing to know that somebody was there and willing to do as much as they were, and I was, you know, very appreciative of that, and I made sure that, you know, I demonstrated that these were things and tenets of who I am that I wanted to give back and reciprocate, because, you know, those first 3-4 months, I mean, were fantastic. I mean, we, you know, someone said we're not doing anything with the restaurant. I think it's the same realtor guy, and you know, to utter those words with such ignorance is shameful. And I know how this, you know, will try to be played off, but I'm going to be very honest and very transparent throughout this process. He has no idea what he's talking about. In fact, you know, there was a baby shower there for you know, for Brian and his family, and it was awesome, and they were great, and really good people. And you know, we had a reunion there, class reunion, which was really awesome too. Such good young adults, but they were respectful, did a great job. I mean, I thought it was awesome. Had a lot of great feedback, and that was nice. And then we had a 4th of July party there as well, and that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It was nice, and I appreciate so much the people that put that together for our neighborhood. And yeah, there wasn't a, you know, huge notice on that one, but it was something they wanted to do and something I thought would be benefit. I know my family and I went, and we really enjoyed it too. So again, I apologize on the sun thing behind me. So we have used it for quite a few things. We're using it for meetings, and yeah, there's been people who wanted to take it over, but you know, the idea that just anybody or so many people would be banging down the doors while we have homeowners doing everything they can to depict this HOA in such a horrible manner is unfathomable. I mean, if you haven't walked that golf course and seen a huge difference, you've lost your mind. Really and truly, you've lost your mind. And there isn't a single one of those people who will take me up on this offer right now, which is make an appointment with me. I'll show you the before pictures, and I'll show you what it looks like today and before, whenever that video supposedly was taken. And one of us will apologize to everybody for lying. but not one of you that has that opinion of the golf course has the guts to do it. Not one. And the reason why you don't is because, as in that video, 80% of it was not even parts of the golf course that have been used in forever or aren't even a part of the golf course in particular. And none of you that were a part of that video had any intention other than to make our own property look bad. So pretty disgusting stuff, to be honest with you. But back to the restaurant. So we have people who want to be there, but we need to make it work. And I'm not going to get into discussions of who, because in the past, when people have found things out, we've had HOA members who went ahead and contacted our distributors, our manufacturers, and just basically said really crappy things and hurt our payment terms that we had originally worked out. The good news is we were able to remedy that, so that's helpful. We also had a surprise birthday party for the GM and his spouse, which was awesome. Great friends, great family, and I'd be lying to you, and I think those of you that know me, if I didn't say that the way this whole thing went down wasn't horribly personal. Very hurtful, and what it cost me to have that happen was a lot of time away from my family, a lot of early and late nights, a lot of 16-hour days out on the golf course, helping to just keep it with a pulse. And to know that there were two directors who were behind promoting the idea that go ahead and take 6 weeks off and not give Chris any notice whatsoever is again appalling. But I'm making this video because I know that you need to know, and in the past the mistakes that I've made have been to try to not disclose information like this, but what I'm seeing now is people taking advantage of the fact that they're I wouldn't say anything publicly on it. So those days are more than likely over. The HOA is going to hear it, and I said if any one of you want to debate it in a public forum, I'll be more than happy at any time or any place to have that debate with those of you who are lying to your neighbors, and those of you who won't have the guts to take me up on that offer. So that being said, on that note, on that meeting Wednesday, I wasn't able to go. I had my executive assistant go because I had and still have a tremendous amount of work to do every day. And apparently what ensued that night I'll get into, but there were a few comments and questions from people. One of them was asked from somebody who claims to be a CPA or work for a CPA firm, but struggles to understand our accounting. And I'm not a CPA, but math's still math, and people that struggle with that are worrisome to be giving out advice. That also lent to a question with regards to a Boot Barn receipt, which I don't remember, I don't know about, but I can guarantee you it was for work and probably work boots. So then enters in an HR professional and apparently, and is telling another person says we shouldn't have to buy boots equipment for our workers. And I'm struggling to wonder what is going on in these people's minds that we wouldn't pay for if they were safety boots. I imagine they were. I know I didn't buy them, but I do know that there was one person who used to work here who probably needed boots and used them. If not, either way, we pay for safety equipment. That's who we are. That's part of the image and expectation people should have when they come to work for us. We're not putting that onto our employees. That's ridiculous. If they need safety boots, they get them. If they needed a ventilator because they're spraying something, then I get it for them. We have money to do that, and we will absolutely, positively protect our workers and not try to put the bill on them. The fact that somebody who works in HR would be the one that would say something so silly is disgusting, and they should be ashamed of themselves. I'm not sure what type of operation you think we're going to run here, but it's not that one. And if you had the courage, and I think you probably did try to run and qualified as last place, there's probably a good reason why. So don't go trying to tell the board that they shouldn't be paying, or myself, for people's safety. You're losing your mind. All right. These are my workers. I take responsibility for them, good and bad. And that leads to the next issue that kind of came up, which was somebody who had lent us equipment and is the grandfather of Brian and lives in our association. One of the things that they said was that they'd bring this equipment to our facility to help us out as a donation to us. And in fact, that same person several times over mentioned that it was a donation, and then was recognized, I think, monthly at every meeting. The family who I loved and adored was helping us out, and it was at a time when we needed them, and there's no doubt about it, and never can anybody take that away. But to then, at the same time when Brian's leaving without any notice, and then after the 6 weeks came back, they tried to have a secret squirrel meeting with Lorden. They tried to coax a third director in there and get Brian to come back, run the entire golf course. And email was forwarded to me from somebody that claims to have been Brian, claims to have had his name on the bottom of it, but I'm almost 100% certain Brian would never write something like what I read. Absolutely not. Unless he was able to pull wool over my eyes, no way. So that being said, whoever wrote it and put Brian's name on the bottom of it, I believe that Brian did go along with it, but no, I don't think he wrote it. And it'll be insignificant anymore. But they tried to have a meeting and a quorum of directors so that he could, this is the coup d'etat here, so that way they could have Brian run the golf course, somehow work it so that I wouldn't have anything to do with it. He'd fire all the employees that I had hired in his absence for 6-7 weeks, and then hire back, his brother-in-law potentially, who had quit 3 times, and we had welcomed back all 3 times, and the results weren't good, especially after those first 3-4 months that I mentioned earlier. So that being said, when the coup d'etat failed to work by the 2 directors, Brian later resigned that next day, and that's why he's not around. So that's probably more than I want to say, but I think is necessary to state here for reasons of transparency, which leads me to his grandfather Rick, who lives in the neighborhood, who stood up in front of everybody and said, "Why haven't I been paid?" or words of that effect. Well, Rick, the reason why you haven't been paid is because you didn't answer the attorney letter that was sent to you over a month ago. And that letter specifically asked you specific questions, and you have failed to answer it. Not only that, you've never called me, never talked to me, never said anything, just turned in some invoice for things that you and I never spoke about. You'll never produce a single document that states that we had an agreement that I was going to pay you back for anything. we tried, and I know I tried best I could to do everything I could to show my appreciation for you. But at a time when you knew we didn't have money, it meant the world to me that you would, donate your time and equipment to us. Now, the piece of equipment that I think you wrongly stated was an aerator, was a sprayer. We've told you to ensure that you've contacted your insurance. That machine was taken by your grandson. I have no idea where it went. I'm pretty sure he'd admit to that. I hope he would, because that's the truth. And wherever that is, you can ask Brian where it's at, because that's where your machine is. It was there for months, and Brian had taken it. So there's a lot of reasons why you haven't gotten paid, and more concerning is that you're claiming that we had some agreement, which we didn't. So then the next question was, I think he said, how do we remove the CEO? Classy, very classy. And I'll have you let everybody know what exactly I did for you to come up with that statement. Really and truly, for you, your family, or for anybody, answer that statement. Because my guess is either somebody's filled your head with lies, or you just were putting on a front the entire time we were together, working together, talking together, and everything else. But again, could have picked up the phone, could have stopped over my house, let me know you had a problem, or whatever it is. Instead, you chose that route. So, on to the next question. Why can't we water every spot on the golf course? It's just not feasible. It's not really economical. And I think that we have our areas of priority are going to be with the greens, it's going to be with the rough, it's going to be with the out of bounds area. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's going to be with the area just slightly outside, not everywhere. There are areas that really aren't playable. And because we're just starting, I mean, we don't have I had to replace, a few people pretty quickly because of what I had mentioned earlier. And that course looks great, but we're not going to water everything. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take kind of a survey of our course and figure out what is most sustainable, right? In other words, we're going to probably turn some places, that have sprinklers and turn those off, and try to find another way to create a golf course that's more friendly for the type of, dry climate that we're in, and not try to blast through a bunch of water. And that's kind of our social responsibility, our obligation to each other and our neighbors. And so I'm definitely working to do that. So in the interim, when people have, the berms or whatever that aren't being cut or watered, it's, again, there's a lot of homes and a lot of money that it would take to do it. And we don't have it yet. Although we do have over 215 or 18,000 or whatever it is in our reserve account, and we started with 2,000. We've got to continue to try to build that. So the hard months, the big bills will be over, I think, at the end of this month, so probably the end of September, because we'll have to pay for some of August bills. But overall, we're looking good. I think we're looking very strong. We're very fortunate, and we'll continue to be on that. But that's why we can't do it. So I think I went over the events. And then this last one here is going to be, and listen, I don't necessarily like to make a video like this because, one, I think, once it's out there, I try to be as cautious as I can. I'm not an attorney, and I want to obviously communicate with people, and but this part here is ugly, and as if the other parts weren't, but this one is even worse. And the reason why is on Wednesday, when we had a HOA meeting, my executive assistant who was there, and I mentioned that earlier, was at the bar getting ready to kind of get everybody out. As I told her, we need to have everything cleaned up and out of there after the meeting and doors locked. So, Judy was doing that for me. The meeting had already adjourned. She had brought a security camera that's been in there for months and months, and it's a Ring camera. It's not a continual feed type camera. It's just a Ring camera. It actually doesn't even give you that great of a picture, but it does help identify someone who was to go in there, because we know that we've had people try to break into that restaurant and actually were taking things out of there that they shouldn't have. And so we do have cameras at the restaurant, and one of them, of course, is inside as well as it's armed and alarmed. So apparently in the process of bringing that back out, the camera back out under the bar, we put it in a glass to kind of hold it up as opposed to drilling into a wall, and it's just area of coverage, which is why we'd put it there. There's other reasons I'm not going to go into for security purposes why it'd be there, but it's always there, and it's been there for the other meetings that have been there too. When that was getting ready to end, apparently, and again, I wasn't at the meeting, Judy was there taking scrupulous notes for me, and ended up to where apparently she had brought the camera back out, and Director Hal decided that he was going to yell at her, which I actually was on the phone when I heard him yelling, and in fact, oddly enough, again, I thought it was kind of like, they were joking around or something, and then I heard more yelling, and then abruptly it hung up. And from what transpired, and again, this is one side of the story, I can ask for the other side, but from what I know and from objective sources that were there too, non-HOA members, they had seen parts of this, and one in particular saw the entire thing. The camera was being grabbed out of her hand, and as he didn't want it there, he shook it or grabbed it and tried to, either he chucked it at some point, or with her hand on the camera, he slammed it down, and Judy's hand was thrown down on the glass. The glass broke. We have pictures of it, video of it, and she cut her hand. That physical assault is been documented and will be dealt with. And again, there's two sides of the story, so I want to make that clear here, because I'm not trying to get into any sort of legal trouble, but this is, again, the side of the story, and I've heard it 3 times from 3 different people, so they all have said that. Now, apparently, as this was going down, they had handcuffed Hal, put him in the back of the car, and apparently the same realtor who had posted pictures of the golf course and posted it on YouTube as a response to the videos that I put that were pretty cool, I think. Again, I'm trying to help the club, promote the club, and put it in a real light. He posted that video that was horrible. That same person, that same realtor, again, apparently had told the police that Judy had pushed Hal, which up to that point hadn't even been said by Hal as far as I know. And so then they handcuffed Judy, who's a single mom and has a young boy, under 17, under 18, anyways, a youth at her home, and they handcuffed her, and they were, gonna take her to jail because of the, if from what I understand is true, the false statement being told by this realtor, and because it didn't happen in the view of the police, the sheriffs, they then were going to take them both off, and they wouldn't allow Judy to contact her son, who needs attention, and that's all I'll say on that. And that if that rings true, and we have quite a bit of evidence and people who say it is, that he was nowhere near, but he wanted to fill out a report in order to do it, if that's actually true. You know, again, a very, very disgusting act, a very cowardly thing to do, and that too, you know, is disgraceful. Whatever your issues may be with me, you can always address them. You can always talk, you know, civilly. I mean, I, you know, don't mind doing that. More than likely, if it's a few of you, you'll do it while I record the whole thing. And then look at it from the standpoint of, you would put your hands on as a man, another woman who didn't touch you, is despicable. And we'll see, and I've got a sneaking suspicion that those people who are similar to myself, which is, you know, we support women, we support the ladies in our lives. I'm going to recommend to the board, if we can, start recording visually and audioly our meetings. And I think quite a few of you actually wanted that before, so this should be something we all get together on, right? I bet you then behaviors and comments will change. No more hiding behind the secrecy of the meetings, which were done originally to protect this HOA. But again, that's now been perverted, and the need to video it should be discussed. I wish you guys I hope you guys had a great weekend. And again, if anyone wants to take me up on my offers, you know where I work, get a hold of me. All of you have my phone number, have my email. And one quick thing on that email that went out to everybody, I think it had my name in it. We all know who sent it. We all know who that person is. And again, you know, I apologize for that person who felt the need to send that to everybody. It was very misleading, of course, defamatory, and you know, we just keep taking the hits from those who are, you know, dedicated to, you know, the destruction of the HOA, and they'll tell you all the same things you heard a year ago when GPL was here. Special assessment, dues are going to get raised. Well, dues didn't get raised. There isn't going to be a special assessment, and we're going to be, and we already are, way better off. So I really appreciate all of your comments, and those of you that come to the club to say hello, those of you who contact me to say, you know, what's on your mind. I do appreciate it, and I wish you all, truthfully, everyone, a great rest of, you know, next week, and I hope that we can put some of this stuff behind us. But before we do, we're gonna have to really address a few issues, and that's that. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great night.